Welcome to The One Inside, an internal family systems podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Sollenberger. I'm excited that you and all of your parts have taken time to be with me and all of my parts. If you are a coach, a client, a therapist, if you are in business or education, and you're curious about the IFS model, you are in the right place. Now, let's see what happens on today's podcast. Hey everyone. I hope you're doing okay. We're on, week 4 of the COVID craziness, quarantine, shelter in place, stay at home, whatever your state is calling it. So I'm curious how you're doing. I'd love to hear from you, either on Instagram at IFS Tammy or on the One Inside Facebook page, where you can chat with other people about the episodes, ask questions, just join in the conversation over there. So I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to hear how you're doing. And if you have any questions or thoughts about the episodes, I'd love to hear from you. People have been talking about, right, like what this opportunity we have. And there are parts of me that are like, yeah, I want to use this as an opportunity. An opportunity for what? I'm not sure, but an opportunity maybe to connect more with my family in my house, and connect more with my family in another state, and connect more with my friends or connect differently. But there's another part of me that is just exhausted. I'm still seeing clients on Zoom, and I've had some cancellations, but in general, I'm still really full, and it's taking a lot of time to send out Zoom invites and check with people and move scheduling around. And I don't know if this is happening for you, but I feel like I should have more time. There's sort of a voice like, you should have more time. You're not taking the boy to school. And, but I feel like I have less time and I have less energy. I'm more tired. Definitely noticing that I feel less creative. So I was driving home from work last night. Well, I actually went into my office yesterday for the first time just because I needed to get out of my house. So I was driving home and I saw this house had put out a ton of trash. Like clearly there's someone who had like cleaned out their closet. And I thought, wow, good for them. I don't think I have the creative energy to even clean out my closet right now. That's what I thought as I was driving by. But this morning I have more energy in the morning, so this morning I'm feeling a little bit different. But yeah, so that's just what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that there's parts of me that are like, there's an opportunity for something. And then there's other parts of me that are like, I'm just so tired. So that's what's happening with me. Today, we are talking to Chris Sullivan, and Chris is in California and he's in shelter in place. And so we talk about that a little bit, but mostly we talk about IFS in business. And what I really love about this episode, because this is one of my passions and one of the main reasons why I'm doing this podcast, is Chris's passion is, and what his job is he is in business. He's a businessman. And so he's taking what he's learned from IFS and he calls it the IFS process and really focuses on the 8 C's. And he refers to the 8 C's radar sheet that we talked about, I think 2 episodes ago with Julia. And as a reminder, if you want to get that radar sheet, it's on the Facebook page. Because that's what he talks about. He talks about the process of IFS and the 8 C's and how he's giving that as like this gift to the people that he comes in contact with, people that might not show up in therapy, right? People that it's outside of the therapy realm, right? It's outside of the therapy room. It's outside of the therapy session. And that's what I love about IFS. And we have IFS in coaching, we have IFS in business, and there's IFS in schools, which we'll be talking about next week, actually. But, there is this idea that we have this amazing thing called self and this amazing process, and we want to get it out there, not just in the mental health community, we want to get it out to other people. And so that's something that I feel really passionate about, and one of the reasons why I do this podcast. And I think that's Chris's passion about that too. So he talks about how he's doing that in his business setting But then we also talk about parenting and marriage, and we talk about the love languages. So if you're not familiar with the love languages, there's 5 love languages, and there's a book called The 5 Love Languages. And I think there's probably lots of things that have come out of the 5 love languages. So Google that. But the 5 love languages, the idea is that we tend to show love by a certain language. So if my husband's love language is gifts of service, which it is, he would love me by doing things for me. So he's got dinner going for me, and he's takes care of our budget, and he does the grocery shopping, and he is a service guy. But maybe my love language is words of affirmation. And so I'm looking at him like, I need words. I need you to tell me that you love me and that I'm pretty. And he's handing me a plate of nachos and a glass of wine. And he's like, here, I'm loving you. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not saying you love me by telling me that I'm pretty. So there can be these misses. And so the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Chris talks about that with his kids, like knowing his kids' love language, so that there's a connection, right? If I'm speaking a different love language than you, then we're gonna miss out on a connection. Anyways, that's my little spiel about love languages. So we talk about that, and some of the fun things that Chris says, like I love these little nuggets and quotes that people say, and I always write them down. And so some of them that Chris gives us are so he basically uses that radar sheet as like an assessment tool, and then asks the salesperson or the business person, how am I preparing myself to go out and help the customer? And that's that U-turn we talk a lot about in IFS, is that like what's happening inside of me? How do I check in with my parts? I love that. So how am I preparing myself to go out and help the customer? And then he talks about IFS as a fantastic method of communication and a great template for business. And I love that. So it's fun. I think it's great. And actually, I think mostly it's inspiring and really hopeful. Hopeful about how IFS can change. How about this? How about IFS is an opportunity to change things from the inside out? I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy this one. Take care.
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you in front of a picture? What's happening behind you?
That is my backyard. It's
Holy cow.
it's Lake Vasona, and Julie and I walk around that every day.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm just going to stare behind you. It's so pretty.
All right, short meeting. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get the video so you could see the fireplace, because I've been doing video sessions all
Okay.
day. So I was like, how do I get it so that like, oh, you can like, you're half looking at me and half looking at the pretty fireplace. How are you guys doing?
We're holding up. We're holding up pretty well. It's I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Martian,
Yeah.
and it's where the astronauts trapped on Mars after the rest of the team left,
Yeah.
and he had a diary that he would name the day's soul. Today's soul 9 for us in shelter in place. So it's really important not to have a Groundhog's Day experience.
So what are you doing to make sure you don't have a Groundhog's Day experience?
Let me see. Today's Tuesday. So Sunday we got a hold of my nephew and his wife in Minnesota, and we're out here in sunny California, and it's 12 below zero and 6
Oh my
feet of snow
gosh.
back there right now.
Crazy.
But he's got 4 kids. The oldest is 7, and the youngest is just turned 1 year. And so Julia had the bright idea of, why don't we do a skit for the kids? And so while we were doing our shelter in place shopping, we just got a couple of knickknacks to remind the kids of each of them and their character. And we sang, he's got the whole world in his hands. And when we would sing a verse, we would add the child's name, and we'd represent it with, like, a bear or a unicorn or Frozen's a big deal with one of them, and then hockey's another one for the oldest. And
Mm.
between the laughter and we've got a lot of clothes and jerseys and stuff around the house, and so we would change right when we're doing this thing, and they were hysterical.
Mm.
And just little things like that keep us from having Groundhog's days, and then getting in a lot of touch. We're using a lot of Zoom. It's a big tool,
Yeah.
and
Thank God for Zoom. Yeah.
we're trying to stay in touch more specifically with the older
Mm.
than we are. We're in the zone. Julie and I are in the zone, but
Mm.
we're just in the very beginning of it. But the older set, our parents' age, so to speak, we
Yeah.
like to check in with them on the phone. Try to teach them Zoom, but they're more comfortable on the phone.
Yeah.
And
Will they do
Julie and I,
FaceTime? I think sometimes that they like FaceTime. Will they do that?
the ones I speak to don't have that savvy. Julia may have ones that are that savvy, but of course, a lot of my contacts are guys, so just give me the phone, let's talk, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I'm really excited to talk to you about the IFS in business because I don't know anything about this. So
Oh,
I'm
you
super,
don't?
I don't. So I'm super excited to talk about what that means and what it looks like and what you guys are doing and the impact it's making.
So IFS in business, Brian Jordan and Anna Tanzi started the IFS in business chapter of IFS. I was introduced to it in 2012, so it's been around for about that long. And Brian and Anna Tanzi, in the spirit of rotation, have stepped away from their leadership, and Julie and I picked up the differential. So we're with mostly Julia's help. I'll give Julia all the props. I'm just the gopher in this whole situation. What we're trying to do is to make IFS more recognized in business settings. It was originally therapeutic, as well. I'm not telling you anything new. The effort was to take a look at how many people are out there, and I'll be selfish about the whole thing, like us. I'm not a therapist. I am not a therapist. I'm a businessman, a marketer, and a sales guy. And when Julia introduced this process to me in 2010, I couldn't believe how it would segue over into sales. And
Okay.
so I use the 8 C's as a tool for sales. Now we have business owners, we have restaurateurs, we have coaches, a lot of business coaches, a lot of organizational design people, a lot of HR people, people in business and corporate settings that want to make a difference, and they
Mm.
want to use the tools that Dick has laid at our feet to go forth. And the whole self leadership movement started, and just a consciousness. Now, it's the model I use, and what I use it for. Well, like for an example, just today before our talk, I knew that we had an 8 o'clock, and my clients and my support teams and my mentors are all East Coast, and meetings started at 5:30 in the morning,
Oh,
California time,
oh my gosh.
and we're working a project that I founded here in the Bay Area. And so I don't know if Julia's shown you a target chart or a radar chart of what
Yeah,
the
the
8 C's look
C's.
like. So I'm going before this radar chart, doing an 8 C inventory, and on a scale of
Mm.
1 to 5, where am I?
Mm.
And I used to do this with my sales teams, and
Okay.
what we would do is I would try to get a sense of where they were in their own mind
Mm.
around the 8 C's, and then it dawned on me, something. I've read a lot of books by a lot of the sales gurus out there, and a lot of the people who understand how the sales process works, and they'll give tips. I mean, very very good tips and practical salesperson to customer protocols. And I'm looking at this, and I was completely sold out on the IFS process. And it dawned on me, there isn't one book written out there coming from the perspective of, you're the salesperson who woke up this morning. How are you feeling about what you're doing today?
Wow.
How are you preparing yourself to go out to help the customer? Is helping the customer the priority, or is your wallet the priority? The 8 C's gives us an opportunity to look at where we are and ask those questions. And it's not a therapeutic type of environment. I did it with sales teams, and I have an example here of what we do before training. Training in any business is difficult. It's tough, and
Why is it tough?
it's tough because in training, well, let's look at it. This is one I'm going to show you that I dug up.
Nice.
For our talk today. This is a gal, and you can see her radar chart and where she marked off where she felt she was in the 8 C's, and there's the pattern.
Chris is showing me an up close picture of the radar chart, which we talked about with Julia's episode. And it's a chart with a circle, and then someone in the training, I'm guessing, mapped out where she was. Got it.
Right.
Okay. So you do that like at the beginning of a training?
Yes.
Okay.
And so when we look at hers, and it's 0 to 5, 5 being the greatest and the strongest. When it came to courage, she marked herself a 2 out of 5. And then on confidence, and this is in a training setting, you're about to learn something about your business and about the products that you sell and the applications that they're used in. She had a 2 for confidence. She had a 3 for curiosity because she's in the business. She had 2 for creativity because she didn't know where this would go or how this even works and how she could apply it. She was a 2 on calmness, so she's stressed. She's not, 1, she doesn't feel that she's smart enough. 2, she's, this is new territory. 3, I'm on commission, yada, 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 yada. Connectedness, she feels that she's a 2 because this is all running around. I haven't really made my mark here. I really want to do well, but I'm not feeling connected to the team or the company quite yet. And then the clarity is a 3 because she is clear that she's a degreed engineer from a prestigious college, and she can do this in her mind. I mean, from the standpoint of her intellect. So we go through a week's worth of training, and I have them take another test on top of it. So the chart really looks like this, before and after.
Gotcha.
So the after looks like this. So the level of what she's doing now doesn't look like this, but looks like this.
Right. So Chris is showing me the chart where it's more expansive, where she's, she's got a 4 courage, more compassion, more clarity, more connectedness, more confidence. Yes, the chart looks different. That's great.
And the reason I felt it's important is because if you're not set before you go in front of the customer's going to know it. You don't have to say a word. You just your body language, your presence. That's number 1. Number 2, the environment that the company was in is a male-dominated environment. It's industry. It's heavy industry. Chemical plants, refineries, pulp and paper plants. These are all industries that are male-dominated, and as a female going into these environments, it can be intimidating for guys. I mean, I'm not a woman, but I totally respect how that works. And you have to be sharp. You have to be intelligent. You have to be confident. You have to be so many of the prerequisites that have to exceed how men interact and operate with themselves. And
Mm.
this really, really helped her to the point where we had worked, and I did this with all the team, to the point where they left the company 2 years later for bigger and better opportunities because of the work that they had done in and of themselves. As a coach, the best thing I can do for my players, whether it's in a business setting or high school baseball teams or whatever, is I want you to be better than when you came in here, confident enough to grow and take the next rung on the ladder with confidence. And
Mm.
and so it's a wonderful thing to and it's a wonderful thing to make sure that they're set and they're taking off and they're doing their own. I mean, Julia and I are parents of 7 kids, and so we really love the experience of setting them free, and
Mm.
because there's another right behind. There's another one right behind. So
Mm.
it's very rewarding. But I found that the 8Cs is an excellent template for doing business and helping. Just like me this morning, this project is entering into phase 3, and there are more questions that we have, and there are more details that we have to have. I have to be calm about this.
Mm.
I have to be curious about it. I have to be connected to my team and to the customer. And I have to have the compassion for the customer, which is something I really found out interesting in my dealings with IFS, and the connectedness is one, but the compassion is another. And I asked them, how much compassion do you have for your customer? And it was like,
Right. Right.
compassion. This is business. This is not. Yes, yeah,
Mm.
no. How much compassion do you have for the guy across the desk from you, and what do you know about him?
Mm.
What can you tell me about him that will help you let him understand what we're doing and how we can help him and move his career forward, and more importantly, make his job today very productive and
Mm.
pay back, because he's terrified right now. Do you know how scared
Mm.
that man is? We work with engineers and production managers, and
Mm.
they're very risk averse people. And if things are working, why are we changing them? And
Mm.
when we come in and say, well, the reason we want to change them is because your productivity is going to grow 4% and your profitability is going to go up 2 points, that might be worth considering.
And I almost wonder if that's a way you have to sell this tool, because, right, if you're dealing with engineers, they're
Mm-hmm.
probably not super touchy-feely. So one of the ways to sell this tool to them is that it will increase your profits, it will increase your sales, it will increase those things because you'll have more compassion and you'll get what you're wanting. You'll get the sale if you have more compassion for your client or your customer.
Agreed. Excellent points. And yes, that is one of the net results of what occurs. The importance of the IFS, from my perspective, also is to help my people know that the man or woman that you're talking to in that call, face to face, is in a part. This person that you're talking with across the desk that has the responsibility for a $52 million unit out
Right.
inside that refinery is in a part. And so, can you remain in self
Mm.
to understand what part that person's in,
Wow.
and have the compassion to know that this process is going to take time and is not going to be an immediate transaction, but
Mm.
a relationship that you're starting to build. Because I know you have quotas and I know you have deadlines and I know that you're afraid of not hitting those things, but let's talk about the quality of your relationship as we move forward, and how you can build relationship, a good, strong relationship, just recognizing that your customer is going to be in a different part or parts, that you are going to be in a different part and parts.
Mm.
So,
I love that. So how does that make a difference if I'm trying to sell you a thing and I recognize you're in a part?
okay, so you're the salesperson and you're coming into a meeting to talk about a product that you have to offer, that because you've done the radar chart, you have confidence.
Mm.
And why do you have confidence? Because you've done your homework, because you've done the analysis on the customer, on the customer's competition. You understand where he is in the marketplace. You understand what the competitive advantages and disadvantages he has in the marketplace compared to his customers.
Mm.
You understand his business, and you know the milestones he has to make because you're reading their quarterly reports. You are fully investing yourself in the knowledge and understanding of that customer. A wise mentor of mine told me when I started this 36 years ago, he said, do yourself a favor and just buy a little stock in each company that's one of your customers. That way you can look them dead in the eye and say, I am a shareholder of this company. And I believe that this is the right step to take and ensure the profitability of what we're doing. And then you can get into the ABCs of why it's better. But
Mm.
without doing the necessary pre-work in the 8Cs, you won't be calm. You'll be
Right.
stressed. You're going to be afraid you're going to lose the transaction. You're
Right.
not confident because you haven't done any homework, which means you could completely blow it in front of the customer and have him recognize the fact that you have no idea what you're talking about. You're completely wasting my time. And the next time I see you is probably going to be at the county fair because there's no way we're going to talk about business here.
Well, I was just thinking it would trigger, right? If I'm not in self, that's going to trigger a fearful part. It's not going to, it's going to potentially trigger a fearful part of the client or the customer, right? Like if
Absolutely.
I'm not showing my confidence with my homework, then that's going to like deepen their fearful part, or they're unsure, or like, why should I make this change?
Yeah, customers
And
have a lot of fear. The fear of being lied to.
oh,
Okay, they have
right,
fear of past experiences.
right.
Yeah, I know, Chris, you came in here and you're coming in here and you're talking to me about this. I was at another company and I made a decision like that with another company and it hurt my career.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to risk any changes that you could offer. I don't care how lucrative or optimal the options that you're bringing me are.
right.
If you don't know that as a salesperson and look, Tammy, everybody sells everything all the time.
Mm.
So I don't want to confine this to the realm of sales. I want to confine this to the realm of communication. If you don't know what you're talking about and you're afraid, then your customer's he's going to sense that as much as bad exhaust on Main Street. It's, oh my God, uh, I've got to cut this meeting short. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
by doing the pre-work and using the 8Cs as a mechanism, and that's what I do for customers and for my people before I
Yeah.
send them in.
Chris, can you talk a little bit about what you just said? It's not just sales, it's communication.
Yeah, the 8Cs. Self is the best place to be,
Mm.
and I know for me when I'm in self, my fear factors are really really low. My confidence is at a normal range, depending on the walk of life I'm in at that time.
Mm.
I think communication's best served when we can be genuine and transparent. And
Mm.
it's difficult for people today to be transparent, to be genuine, to be truthful. Uh, and who can blame them? I mean, the
Mm.
conditions and environment that this country's experienced over the years has been nothing like I've ever seen in my life. And if people don't have outlets for it, or have a community or a group of people that they can trust and communicate with on a genuine, transparent level, it's complicated. Life is complicated.
Mm.
And the 8Cs and IFS uh, helps me understand that there are people that I can speak with and people I have to make aware of what's going on. And I'm a learner, so I'm always sharing information with the people that I come across, and those that are very close to me understand I'm in IFS, and they understand that I talk about parts, and they know they know that I ask them questions that normal people don't ask them.
Oh, like what?
A person will come up and I'll just look at them and I'll say, "So how are you feeling?" And they'll go, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm all right." And I go, "Well, have you told your face?" "What do you mean?" I go, "I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that there's something going on. If you'd like to share it, I'm more happy to have a cup of coffee with you about it. We can
Aw.
talk about it."
Hmm.
So because I've been through IFS, I've been through level 1, and I'm PAing right now in a project that IFS is doing in San Francisco. It's really helped me open the door skillfully to people, to let them know that they can trust me and that we can start the process of maybe a level 2 or a level 3 out of 7 levels of conversation, meaningful conversations.
Hmm.
Level 7 is complete transparency and honesty, and not being afraid of who we're speaking with, that will take any reprise or won't take any negative actions. They're safe people,
Hmm. Yeah.
and take that comfort in the day that you've spoken to somebody and they understand how you feel.
Yeah, so you're like, I don't want these, like, "I'm fine, you're fine, great, have a good day." You don't want those types of conversations or those types of relationships. You wanna have a deeper conversation, and it sounds like by talking about parts, that takes you to that next level just by talking about parts.
Right, and recognizing that the person isn't a part. I know in a moment where Julia is. Okay, Julia is my bride, and we're almost 19 years into it, and I can tell when she's in her little girl. I
Hmm.
can tell when she's in her rebellious teenager. I can tell just through her actions, her voice, and her conversations where she is. And I don't use it in a punitive measure, but as a measure to start a conversation
Hmm.
there and work our way to the ultimate goal, which is helping each other understand where we are with one another in a circumstance that we're sharing
Hmm.
and that we want to come out stronger with.
Hmm.
And she knows me too. I mean, she'll tell you in a minute where I am. How wonderful.
Yeah. So I know we're not really talking about marriage, but I have to ask. So if you and I love you and Julia talk so nicely of each other, and it's just lovely to see. So I'm curious for people that don't have that type of relationship, like if I know that my husband isn't apart or I can tell, like how do you handle that, and what not like what advice would you give, but I guess I'm curious how you handle that when you notice she's in a part.
We have found that witnessing is a wonderful maneuver in our communications to just listen. When Julia's in one of her parts, I ask her, because we're in IFS, is it okay to speak to your little girl?
Hmm.
And would there be any protectors out there that would prevent us from, or me from, talking to your little girl? Or would you like to let me know who the protector is? And sometimes a protector will come out,
Hmm.
uh, and I'll ask it what its job is, and I'll ask it how it's feeling today and what caused that protector to come on out today.
Wow, so you just do direct access.
Pretty much with Julia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she'll do it with me. It's to the point where we've been around with each other and we've been involved with IFS long enough to where we cut to the chase quickly, and it really helps each other.
It's amazing because I've never thought about, like, okay, husband, I can see that you're in a part.
Yeah.
Can I talk to that little boy? Like, can I talk to a little boy? I can see that your little boy is up, and can I talk directly to him?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's it's that way with Julia and I because we've practiced this with each other for years.
Mm,
If you're just beginning, it's more important to to see that, your husband is in a different space right now. Is it okay to talk about the space that you're in?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and
Okay.
and men by and large are shutdown artists. We don't inquiry on feelings, shields up, evasive action. Uh,
I like that.
where's
Shut down artists. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they'll and as the result of that, because they have very well trained managers, the manager will put a protector up to buffet or to shield any further inquiry if the proper communications hasn't been established. So
So
be
when do
careful.
yeah, I know. So when do you learn that? Because I have a son, he's 9, and I asked him recently, like within the past like 6 months, about something about a feeling, and he told me not to be a therapist.
Mm.
So I'm like,
So
wow, he's
yeah,
already learned this male like shutdown art. He already has a shutdown artist part.
sure, sure, and what we may be forgetting as parents is his his associates and his friends and his realm, they're all trying to discover what's going on. And I mean, usually when mom asks questions, this isn't going to go well.
Oh no.
I better say as little as possible. And if she needs me to go rake the lawn, I'll go rake. If she needs me to go do the dishes, I'll do the dishes.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
I think especially boys, they're at a tender age at 9 years old, very tender age, and what we've established out of his response to you is that he has his mother partitioned as a therapist and as a mom. So
Mm,
let's reflect on what you do as a mom,
mm,
and as a mom, coming from that context, it's a lot easier to ask the question. And so I found with all my kids, 4 girls, 3 boys, when we really wanted to talk, we'd have one-on-one time. And some of the kids, one of the kids loves the park. Another kid loved playing catch. Another kid, frankly, loved to shoot pool.
mm,
Uh, Another one wanted to go to the beach, and they knew that when we would participate in that one-on-one, that it was just time for them, nobody else, and nobody's going to call dad, and dad's not going to be distracted and go away and leave me for
mm.
something more important than me. All those factors have to be checked in, at least for the kids, for my kids, where they knew that it was just them and me.
Yeah. Well,
And
especially if there's 7, right? So then that was really special time.
it's well, we were a blended family, and the youngest at the time, Drea, was 8 years old when we were married, and the oldest was 18 years old, which was my son Tom. And what I found out was that, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Love Languages, the 5 love
Yep.
languages.
Yep.
Um, I found out quickly after reading that book that I had better find out what my kids' love languages are,
Mm,
because my daughter, her love language was gifts,
mm,
and my other daughter, her love language was time, and my other daughter was touch,
mm,
and my other son was uh, time, and my other son was quality time, which were like he was the pool player. He still
yeah.
is. He's very good, by the way. What I learned to do was essentially be available. And I've always told Julia, the kids are like cats. If you chase them, they're not gonna participate. But if you sit still, and
Mm,
I try to do this, I sit still in self on the couch.
mm,
They'll come up to you, and they'll sit next to you. They'll put their head on your shoulder, kind of lean into you, and then they'll say what they want to talk about.
mm.
They're precious little beings, and learning their love language was a big breakthrough in our relationship,
Yeah, that's
to the
great.
point where Julia's daughters individually asked me to adopt them, which I did.
Wow.
So they're mine now.
It's
And
amazing.
and all this is because the 8Cs, it works in business if you understand your environment and where the tools can be utilized. In family life, same thing.
Yeah.
This has got so much utility to it. I can't believe it. And the fact of the matter is it works. I don't know how Dick did it, and I thank you God that he did do it. But all my kids, uh, all my people, all my customers. I haven't sat them down on a couch as a therapist or across a chair from them. I've just interacted and related to them through the 8Cs. And when I'm in self, it's a lot easier for me to process and for them to receive and for me to receive them.
There's so many parallels between how you're showing up as a dad and a stepdad and blended family. I was a part of all that craziness, so I totally get that. But you're showing up there, and you're showing up for Julia, and you're showing up for your customers and the people you're training. Like, it just sounds like, right, that it's not just about IFS and business. That's the cool
Right.
thing about this model, is it's not just a model of therapy that I do. It
Right.
becomes who you are, and then that changes how you are in all different contexts of your life, whether it's business, sales, you own a restaurant, you're a waitress, whether you're a therapist or whatever you're doing.
Right. And it provides you, if you, this is a tough one, if you do the work, it will let you find out who you are.
I want you to talk about that, because I was thinking about that with when you ask the salespeople, like when you wake up in the morning, you're not, the first thing you do is basically you're asking them to do a U-turn.
Yeah.
By doing the radar on themselves, is, you're not thinking about the customer first, you're not thinking about your wallet or making the sale, or not even the information about the customer. You're thinking about and connecting with and doing a U-turn.
Exactly. So the matter before all of us, when it comes to this 8C IFS process, is how can we apply it to ourselves so that we learn who we are. I can't tell you how many men and women I've been coaching and that I have in business. One of the questions I ask them is, are you doing what you really want to do for a living? Or is this just something you're doing to make a check? And almost 8 out of 10 of them say, I'm doing this because I need a check. If I really was doing what I wanted to do, I don't think I could make enough money to, have a family and do what's necessary.
Wow.
And it got to the point where, with the 8Cs and with the radar chart and with counsel with them and speaking with them, three of my guys decided that sales wasn't their best first thing to do, that engineering was. And so they all got jobs with engineering firms. And so they go to engineering firms, and I work with engineers, and I like to check up on them and how we doing. And they're so happy. You can tell they're happy, just their whole affect, their appearance, everything about them is, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to thank you for showing me the other side of the desk. With the salespeople speaking to the engineers. I'm that engineer now. Now I got a complete understanding and experience of what it's like to be on the other side of the table, and I want to thank you for that. One of my guys, he decided that he was in the right career but the wrong industry, and so he departed and started his own business, and it's in the medical marijuana realm. So
he's doing pretty well right now.
I've never seen anybody happier in their job than
right.
him. And with a constant invitation, Chris, anytime you're ready, you come on in. I got a slot for you. I can put you to work.
Mm,
So those are the little satisfying rewards that we get out of being out of really caring about people. You just got to
yeah,
care about people.
yeah.
And I know in business that that's the last thing sometimes they want you to think about is, I mean, the corporate structure has changed. I've been around it long enough to know that it's you don't get a gold watch anymore,
Mm,
and it is an at will world out here to work in.
mm.
Um, but I'm old school about that, and teaching and training and motivating people is something that I do for a living every day, and the 8Cs and IFS is a big part of that.
How are you selling the 8Cs to other businesses? Like, how is IFS in Business spreading so that not just you're not just doing it, but that like other business people are doing it?
I think some of the associates that we have on the IFS and Business group that meets monthly can tell you how it works in their particular discipline. I can't. I can't speak to organizational design consultants or HR or any of the touchy feely entries as far as coaching or otherwise into that community. What I can tell you is IFS and Business is growing. It's not growing exponentially, but we've got well over 150 people in the organization in our wing of IFS. We go to the conventions. Where I saw you last, Denver,
Yeah, that's right. We met there.
and
So I
we.
guess my question is
Mhm.
more about how do people in business find out about IFS in Business? I think that's more my question. Like, how are we in the IFS community, and what can we do in the IFS community to support the IFS in Business chapter? I don't want to
Yeah,
say it that way, but so there's two. So there's actually two questions. One is, how do we get this out there to other businesses, or how are you guys marketing IFS in Business? And then
yeah,
my second question would be, how do people join in? So if there are business owners that are listening to this and are new to this, then how do they become a part of it or learn more?
they are two different questions, and they're tough questions. They're tough questions because we all work in different segments of business in the country. I'm here in Silicon Valley, and the principles and concepts around IFS to propose to corporate, we haven't taken that act directly because IFS can be pretty intimidating, and it's a very delicate tightrope to walk. I think we're penetrating that realm from the standpoint of coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, C-level
Yeah.
coaching,
Okay.
personnel coaching. We're not so much in the realm of training as we would IFS therapists in a group that Dick would run. And the reason is because we have to really understand, and it has to come from the
Mm,
top guy, CEO, president, would like his company to learn this process. And we haven't found the key to that door yet because business is so transient in its population, in its
mm.
personnel. Today, some people feel that if they've been in a company a year and a half, it's been too long and they need to make a jump
Wow.
because, the adage in my day was you stay with a company as long as you can because you're a committed, loyal employee who's reaping the benefits of your hard work through bonuses and other stable income. That's all changed now, and a
Mm,
lot of the young people today, um, if they're at a company 2 years, 3 years, their associates, their friends, their fellows are saying, "What's wrong with you? How come you're not jumping on hot projects? How come you're not? Why are you still there? You're still in the
wow.
same role, and you're not vice president yet. So what's going on with that?" And
Wow.
so it's a question that if the CEO or the president was involved and completely sold on IFS as a mechanism of communication and a channel for all the different silos in the company to communicate with each other, that would be a great day in the sun. But um, we haven't found that yet,
Mm.
and we're just we're one little sphere on this,
Yeah.
huge gyroscope of what's going on. And our point, Julie and I are convinced that we want to go to a community that is willing to look at the 8Cs and willing to look at IFS and willing to help each other. And corporate today is pretty much about we got a nut to crack. We got shareholders, the dividends need to be paid, and et cetera, et cetera. So I can't tell you that there's anything in place right now that would attract a company to go this far or at this realm right now. So
Yeah.
we'll keep trying.
Well, and this idea that, and maybe this will change with meditation becoming more mainstream and like businesses putting like meditation rooms and stuff. That idea that if we actually slow down, that we will be more productive and get more done, and it's actually better for the employees. And
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe with that beginning to shift, there'll be more room for what's this. What are these? What is IFS as it continues to grow and become more popular? You never know.
Yeah, there's a huge shift going on right now with the COVID-19 virus that's around.
Yeah.
If you look at the Bay Area right now, you're looking at largely a population in a commute that eclipses anything in Los Angeles. And today, the freeways are very light.
Mm.
A lot of people are staying home. And what we're finding out through Zoom technologies is that people are connecting with themselves on Zoom and are really enjoying the fact that they don't have to get in their car. And the average commute in America is 45 minutes one way.
Ugh.
And they don't have to get in their cars anymore.
Mm.
And they're still being productive. And there's a vacuum being created on what am I going to do today to keep it from being Groundhog's Day? Oh, well, maybe I can attend an IFS webinar that Chris or Julia is having right now, and here's the topic, and here's how we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We might see some metamorphosis occur through that process of not being constantly inundated in your office building with thousands of people around you all the time.
Yeah.
To step back and sit back and I could try that, or
Mm.
that really sounds interesting to me. So we're seeing a transition. I know commercially, I'm in meetings at 5:30 in the morning here, and we're doing everything just like we are here, Tammy, and we're talking to each other. I can see you, and this is a good thing. And with Zoom and other technologies other than Zoom, but we can see everybody like the Hollywood squares, old school like me.
I
Um,
remember those. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
I feel so thankful for it.
yeah,
Yeah. But I
so
agree, right? So it does seem to be this beautiful shift. Like there's
yeah,
a gift that's from it. If we can say that. I don't know if I can say that there's a gift from COVID-19 yet, but that seems to be one of them.
yeah. So IFS in business for us is to recognize first and foremost all the people that like go to the convention, go to the IFS party of all parties, and sequester them in a room to share food and just talk about how everybody's doing with their IFS in their business. And this is where we learn that the restaurateur uses IFS as a process of interviewing people and job performances. The 8Cs is a great mechanism to help them make a better employee,
Mm.
and it gives employee an opportunity to give feedback to the boss on how they're running the ship and how
That's great.
confident they feel about his decisions or her decisions, and how calm they are with their leadership, or maybe they're not, or
Mm.
how creative they can be inside, as the employee. And this is what I'd like to, thinking about it. We should try this instead of of not hearing them. So we see that going on. We see the coaching businesses in action. I'd like to say they're flourishing, but they've got good business using IFS as the main backbone of their consultative process for coaching executives. In sales, we see it with results on the hockey stick moving in the right direction from left to right. I know I did and do. So there are a lot of things we'd like to do to recognize that IFS has some utility in conventional business senses. And now we have to get all the people around us who do that so that we can grow it. I think right now the most important thing I would ask your listeners is to examine and become familiar with internal family systems literature, and to reach out to those that they've heard or speak to. We're all over the country. We're all over the world. We have people that they can speak with about it, and not from the standpoint of a commercial profit, but just from the standpoint of fulfilling yourself and fulfilling your total purpose here on this little blue marble, and help. The harvest is great, and the workers are few, and we need all the soldiers we can get out there to help one another get through things like exactly what we're doing right now, which is a pandemic. And we need people who are calm and creative, and people who are compassionate and curious. We need a whole lot more people like that.
That's beautiful. So, Chris, last question. If you weren't doing all that you're doing and you can do whatever you wanted to, what would you do?
There's a place I know in Kenya at the base of Lake Victoria that is a school for kids, and I would probably go there, and I would use the skills that I've learned in all the trades that I'm aware of to grow that environment, to grow those beautiful children. And I feel so blessed right now that I'm of service in so many different ways. I would just be in more service. Being of service, I used to think that it was a drudgery and a pain, and what I've learned after all these years is it's the greatest gift I can give myself. Because what I get back from people is 1,000-fold what I'm offering. And that's why I love Dick Schwartz, and that's why I love IFS, and that's why I wish every man, woman, and child understood IFS, because the world would be a whole lot better place. I love being a merchant of hope.
Thanks for hanging out today. If you liked this episode, make sure you subscribe. And if you really like this episode, share it with a friend and leave a review. You can follow me on Instagram at IFSTammy and join our community on Facebook at the One Inside Podcast. Talk to you next time. Today's episode was sponsored by Brighter Vision. What's the point of having a beautiful website if it doesn't attract the clients you want to see? As the worldwide leaders of website design for therapists, Brighter Vision sees this issue happen way too often. A nice-looking website doesn't equate to a successful website. The truth is, your current website might even be turning off potential clients. That's where Brighter Vision comes in. Brighter Vision's team of website designers will create a website that is centered around attracting and retaining your ideal client so that you can have a nice-looking website as well as a successful one. Better yet, Brighter Vision is offering $100 off exclusively for listeners of the One Inside podcast. To take advantage of this offer, simply go to brightervision.com/inside. Again, that's brightervision.com/inside.